Dark Souls is one of the best games I've ever played. It's crazy to think that this game, that kickstarted one of the most successful gaming franchises of all time, is almost 15 years old. I love Dark Souls for a multitude of reasons. This game's world is expertly crafted. It's dense, yet expansive, and has just enough shortcuts to not keep you too far from anywhere at any time. Dark Souls level design is like a cake, perfectly layered and balanced. It's so enthralling going to each area for the first time. Each area is uniquely tuned to have its own personal feeling and vibe, leading to this game being extremely memorable throughout. Despite being one of the best parts of Dark Souls, the world is only a set piece to the real reason why people love this series and keep coming back for more. These bosses are oftentimes extremely difficult tests of game knowledge and willpower. Despite being one of the easier games in the franchise, Dark Souls 1 still has plenty of challenging fights that will have you memorizing the entire run back to the point where you can do it with your eyes closed. The fight I had the most difficulty with during my first playthrough of Dark Souls was probably Beta Chaos. But besides that, it was Knight Artorias, the Abyss Walker. Not only was Artorias challenging, but it was the most fun I had fighting a boss in the game. This is one of the only true duels in Dark Souls 1, so Artorias and his aggressive, almost athletic moveset is extremely refreshing. His quick, aerial attacks take a little bit to learn, but after enough practice are pretty easy to read yet still extremely fun to dodge. My personal favorite attack Artorias does is his springy pogo attack that, despite being kinda goofy, is actually really fun to dodge. Another one of Artorias' more interesting attacks is his power-up move. He backs off and begins charging up. This attack does two things. It gives the player an opportunity to either heal up or get a bunch of attacks in, but in return, Artorias' attacks get a little bit stronger. Also, sometimes he'll throw some pocket sand at you. The combination of his entire moveset all at once make for a very hard, but good time. This is one of the only bosses in DS1 where you get into a real dance. The flow you get into during this fight is such a fun challenge I was genuinely upset when I finally beat him and had to move on. But did you know this version of Artorias that we fight in-game isn't even him at his strongest? Artorias was one of the 4 Knights of Gwyn, King of Lorghen. Artorias had the unique ability to traverse the Abyss. The Abyss is an all-consuming matter that corrupts everything it touches, so the fact that Artorias was unaffected by it is a pretty big deal, leading him to be nicknamed the Abyss Walker. One day, the Abyss started spreading rapidly under Lorghen. Artorias was quick to act, exploring the caves deep under his home with his loyal companion, Sif. After searching the Abyss for a long time, Artorias found the source, the Abyss Father himself, Manus. Artorias was quickly outclassed by Manus, being badly beaten without putting up much of a fight. Using the last of his strength, Artorias cast a great barrier around his dog, saving Sif's life. Unfortunately for Artorias, he was quickly corrupted by the Abyss, effectively becoming a shell of his former self and strength. In the DLC of Dark Souls 1, we are able to kill Artorias, freeing him of his cursed body. Yet still, Artorias is extremely strong in this state, which really makes you think, how difficult would it be to fight Artorias in his prime? Artorias is my favorite boss in Dark Souls 1. His story is extremely sad and tragic, but his strength and aggression forces you to respect him. Not only is his fight one of the most memorable, but he easily has the most interesting story out of any of the bosses in the game. Not to mention his design. The aura of the Abyss that follows him around is just a cherry on top of one of the coolest and most iconic armor sets in the series. If you haven't played Dark Souls 1, it's a classic that's home to some of the best level design and bosses of the Souls-like genre. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really like being able to talk about the things that interest me, so if you guys could leave a like, it would really motivate me to keep doing this kind of stuff. So thank you again. Have a great day.